Welcome to another episode of Tutorials with Ike. My name is Isaac Osafo Jr., the Vice President for the Association of Business Administration Students at UPSC. Today we're going to be looking at theory of production under business economics. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, comment, and share these videos with your friends so that they'll benefit from it. So as I said, you're going to be looking at theory of production. Now, under theory of production, looking at the past questions and from my knowledge on how they set the questions, they usually ask two types of questions under theory of production. It's either they'll give you a table like this, something like this, then you'll be asked to input the missing values. If not that, they'll give you something like this. And funny enough, last year they gave us both questions. They gave us this and this. You get it? We were supposed to answer two questions from section B. It means if you've learned theory of production, you're done with section B. Do you get it? So yeah, so they'll either give you this one and ask you to put in the missing values, or they'll give you something like this diagram. Then they'll ask you to explain what the diagram means and all that. So you're going to be looking at this too. But before we even look at that, I just want you to understand the concept of production. Now, when we say production, it's more of transforming input to output to get a maximum output. So you want to start a business, right? The whole aim is to make profits. So you're going to put in labor, you're going to bring money and all that. You start with the capital and all that, you get it. So theory of production just looks at how you're able to maximize profits, make the most out of the input you are putting in it. You get it. So the whole concept of theory of production is that they don't want you to waste your resources. You get it. That's the whole concept of theory of production. Once you are inputting something into the business, you have to get, profit from it, or you have to get the maximum output. So that's the whole concept of theory of production. Now, under theory of production, there are three stages, and that's the diagram here. And this particular diagram, they can actually ask you. It's a very, very, very possible question. You get it? Last year, they gave us the diagram. Then they asked us what it means. You get it? So I'm going to explain the diagram so that in case it comes, you'll be able to answer it. Do you get it? Now, let me try and explain it in a very, very simple way. It's a bit confusing, but I'm going to try and break it down using examples. Now, for theory of production, there are three stages. You have stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. So this right here you see is stage 1. Then this part is stage 2. Then here is stage 3. So here is stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. So before I even explain the stages, I'm going to explain some few things. Now, the first thing under this topic we are going to look at is marginal products of labor, MPL. So that's the one you see here, marginal products of labor. It's the same thing here. Now, when you see marginal products of labor, now obviously if you are starting a company, there are no workers at the initial stage, but you are going to be adding workers as time goes on. So marginal products of labor is the additional output the worker gives you. You get it? So if let's say you're operating in a restaurant and let's say you sell only burgers, so maybe the first worker that comes a day he's able to produce 50 burgers. You get it? Then the next day another worker comes, then he's able to produce, let's say, 50 as well. Then the next one is able to produce, let's say, 40. Then the next one is able to produce 30 and all that. You get it? So that's the marginal product of labor. So the additional revenue or the additional value the person is bringing on board, or the output he's bringing. You get it? So if a worker joins or an additional worker joins, what revenue is he bringing, or what's the output he's bringing? You get it? So that's for marginal product of labor. Now we move on to average product of labor, which is the one here. Now, when we say average product of labor, it means when you add all the workers, the average output they are bringing. You get it? So let's assume you start hiring workers. The first worker is able to give you an output of 10. Maybe if it's burgers, it's able to make 10 burgers. Now, the second worker is able to make also 10 burgers. Then the last worker is able to make 8 burgers. Now, average product of labor is the average they are making. You get it? The average they are bringing on board. So that if you want to find the average of this, it will be over 3. How many workers are there? You get it? So 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 plus 8 is 28. You're getting something like 28 over 3. And that will give you about 9 point something. I think 9.33. You get it? So almost 10. So it means averagely, the workers are giving you an output of 9.33. So this is the average. You get it? Some are giving you 10, another person is giving you 8, but you're just taking the average. It's like you go into a class and you want to guess the average age. If you get an average age of, let's say, 18, doesn't mean everyone is 18. It's just the average. You get it? So marginal product of labor is just the additional output the worker brings. You get it? So maybe the first worker is able to produce 10, the second worker is able to produce 8, the third worker is able to produce 7. So the one each of them are bringing individually is the marginal product, the additional. Then when you add all of them and you take the average, that's the average product of labor. You get it? Now the total output you are making, or the total revenue you are getting after they've helped you and make the burger and all that, is what you call the total product of labor. You get it? So the company, how much you are making, you get it? So I'm going to go over them one more time. Marginal product, when an additional worker comes, what is that additional worker bringing? So just the additional worker, you get it? So if me, I go and work at the company, what am I bringing? If my friend goes and work there, what is he bringing? So that one is limited to only him. But the average product, you're looking at all of them. When you combine it, then you take the average. That's the average product, you get it? Then the total product is all of them. What are they bringing on? But when you add, the output they are bringing, the total is the total product of labor. So those are the three most important things you have to know. So now that we've understood what marginal product of labor is, average product of labor, and total product of labor, I'm now going to explain the diagram so that in case it comes in exams, just like it came for us last year, you'll be able to do it. So now they won't let you draw the diagram. They'll just give you the diagram, then they'll ask you to explain it. You get it? So explain the various stages. So as I said earlier, this is stage 1, this is stage 2, and this is stage 3. Now if you want to be able to explain the various stages, you have to look at what is happening in each stage. So this line you see here is the total product of labor. So you watch total product of labor, what is it doing in stage 1? Then you check the other line, average product of labor, what is it doing in stage 1? Then check marginal product of labor, what is it doing in stage 1? If it's rising or is going down, it will tell you what it is doing. You get it? So now that we've understood, that's how I explained it to you, so you know what it means. So now let's start with marginal product of labor. So this is marginal product of labor, then you trace it. Then you ask yourself, what is it doing in stage 1? So now this is marginal product of labor. I'll put a diagram on the screen so you can take a screenshot in case you can't see it well. But if you watch the diagram very well, you can see that marginal product of labor, which is this particular line, is rising in stage 1. Watch very well. But as it's rising and it gets to stage 2, it stops, then it starts declining. So marginal product is rising, then reaches its maximum. Then in stage 2, it starts reducing. Do you get it? What that means is that it explains the law of diminishing marginal returns. Now, if let's say you're operating in a restaurant here, and maybe you have maybe 3 saucepans there, and every day you invite a new worker. Now, the first day, one worker takes 1 saucepan, they are left with 2 saucepans. You invite another worker, he takes the second saucepan. You invite another worker, he takes the third saucepan. And the saucepans are done. After you invite more workers, they are going to be a burden on you. Do you get it? Because they are not going to be doing a lot. Maybe the first one was able to take a whole saucepan, so he's actually being productive. But the next person will probably just be chatting with those that are there. You get it? So it means the person is going to be a burden, but then maybe the person might be doing something, so he can be running shifts with any of them. Maybe when this one is tired, and oh, let me help you. But don't be as productive as if they were, getting their own saucepan. So what is happening in marginal product of labor is that I tell you that marginal product of labor is the additional revenue or the additional output a person is bringing. So as it's rising, it means that the additional revenue was increasing. It was increasing. When you add 1 person, it's increasing. When you add 1 person, it's increasing. But then it got to a point, which is the maximum, where when you add 1 person, it starts reducing. Do you get it? And if it starts reducing, doesn't mean the person is not being productive. It means those who were there already were more productive than the person that came. So if let's say the first person was bringing, let's say, 10 CDs, that's the revenue he was able to bring. So he sells, let's say, 10 burgers for 10 CDs. Then the second person also sells 10 burgers for 10 CDs. Then the third person also sells 10 burgers for 10 CD. Now you bring the fourth person, and maybe he didn't really do anything. He was just maybe running shifts with one of them or something, but he is able to sell only 8 CDs. Now, 8 CDs is not a loss. He's selling something, but it is less than what the previous people were making. You get it? So it means that even though he's being productive, but it is less than this. So because these people were making more to be rising, but then when the fourth person came, he was producing 8, which was less than that one, then that's when it starts reducing. And you realize that it didn't reduce in stage 1. Stage 1, it reached the highest point, but it started reducing in stage 2. You get it? When I put the diagram on the screen, you see it very well. But in stage 2, this is the marginal product of labor. You realize that in stage 2, it was reducing. So it means in stage 1, it starts increasing. Then when it reaches the maximum point, then it stops. That's the first observation. So the first observation is that marginal product of labor starts rising and reaches its maximum. So this explains the law of diminishing marginal returns. The law of diminishing marginal returns says that as you are adding more labors to the company, it will get to a point where some of them would be producing less than those that were there because of overcrowding. You get it. Now there are three saucepans. You are still inviting more people. So the place becomes overcrowded. You get it. Some of them will not have any saucepans to produce. Do you get it? So that's the first observation. So the first observation is that for stage 1, marginal product, it rises, then reaches its maximum. So it is in stage 2 that it starts reducing, not in stage 1. So now in stage 1 as well, so he's talking about marginal product of labor, and we explained that it starts rising and reaches its maximum. So if it's rising and reaches its maximum, it means that the workers that you are bringing, or the workers in stage 1, are producing the best outputs. Like they are bringing you the highest output because it is at its maximum here. It doesn't start reducing in stage 1. It only starts reducing in stage 2. So if they are producing the highest output, average product of labor is the total, outputs all the workers are bringing over the number of them. So average product of labor, which is here, would also be rising because the additional workers are bringing the best output. So it will also be rising. Do you get it? Now, total products of labor, this is the line here, is also rising because they are bringing the best outputs. However, in production, now this is where it gets confusing. The fact that the first worker was bringing only 10, the second worker too brought 10, the third worker too brought 10, and the fourth worker brought 8 doesn't mean you should throw him away because he brought less than that. No, you don't have to throw him away. Why? Because it means that if he is not there, this 8, you are not going to get it. You're only going to get 10 plus 10 plus 10, 30. But when the fourth person comes, you're getting 10 plus 10 plus 10, 30 plus 8, 38. You get it. So it means you've not fully maximized all the resources yet. Do you get it? So this is total product of labor. And you realize that in stage 1, it is rising. It gets to this point. But this is not the highest form of the total product of labor. Or this is not the highest point for the total product of labor. In production, you are looking at how you can make the maximum output or the most revenue. You get it? So we say stage 1 is uneconomic. Uneconomic. So you don't have to produce in stage 1. So they'll ask you, is it uneconomic or is it economic? It is uneconomic. So why do you say it's uneconomic? Even though marginal product of labor was rising, the workers were giving the most outputs, the average product of labor too was also high because when you add the highest output over the number of them, it's still going to be high. But the total product of labor wasn't at its highest point. You realize that it starts rising in stage 2. So stage 2 still keeps going higher. Do you get it? So in production, you have to fully utilize all the resources. That's the point I want you to understand. In production, you have to fully utilize all the resources. The fact that the fourth person or fifth person is not bringing as much as those that were there before doesn't mean you should throw them away. Even if the first person is bringing 10, second person is bringing 10 as well, then the third person is even bringing 2, you have to add him. That's what production tells you. You want to fully maximize all the resources. You have to add and add and add until the next person is bringing a negative, or the person, starts incurring a loss. It means that the person is not producing anything at all. He's a burden. You get it? But if the person is even able to produce 1 unit, you don't throw the person away. You get it? So that's for stage 1, which I said is uneconomic because total product of labor was not at its highest. Now let's go to stage 2. For stage 2, you realize that, let's start with the marginal product of labor. It starts reducing, do you get it? And gets to its minimum, but it doesn't cross this line. This is the lowest it can get to. It doesn't cross this line, so it gets to the minimum. What that tells you is that for stage 2, right, workers are still joining, but then the workers that are joining are bringing less than what they were bringing before. You get it? So now you've passed stage 1, you are now in stage 2. So let's say the first worker was bringing 10, the second worker was bringing 10, the third worker was bringing 10, the next one was bringing 8, which is less than the 10, then the next one was bringing, let's say, 6, then the next one was bringing, let's say, 2. Do you get it? So more workers are joining, but then it's less than those before. And production is saying that since they are bringing revenue, the fact that it's lower than these ones or those in stage one doesn't mean you should end at stage one. You have to proceed to stage two because they are still bringing revenue. If they are not there, it means there are some resources that are not utilized. You get it? So that's what we observe for marginal product of labor. So it reaches its minimum, but you realize that it doesn't cross this line. Do you get it? So it reaches this line, but it doesn't cross this line. Now, this line is the limit it can get to. Anything below means a negative. So it means that even though they are producing, but they are not reaching a negative point. So they are not a burden to you yet. They are just producing lower than those in stage one. You get it? So now, if they are producing lower than those in stage one, it means the average product is also going to fall. It's like you enter a class and they say the average age of the student there is 18. If a 2-year-old joins the class, the average will reduce. You get it? So because the workers in stage two are not so productive as those that were in stage one, the average product of labor will also be reducing. You get it? But the most important thing is that also in stage two, the total product of labor, which is here, keeps rising and reaches its maximum. Do you get it? That's the most important thing. As it's rising, it reaches its maximum. It means that in stage two, all the workers have been utilized. So the first one brings 10, second one brings 10, third one brings 10, fourth one brings 8, the fifth one brings 6, and the next one brings 2. Then the last person brings, let's say, 1. You get it? So now all of them have been utilized. So right now, the next person will bring 0. You get it? And it will become a burden. You get it? So now that's the most important thing you have to look at is the total product of labor that determines whether you should produce or you should end at stage 2 or stage 1. So since the total product of labor rises and reaches its highest point, this is the highest point for total product of labor, and that is in stage 2. Since it reaches its highest point, then we say that it is economic. So since it reaches its highest point, we say that it is economic. So why is it economic, or why should we produce in stage 2? We should produce in stage 2 because the total product of labor is at its highest. The total product you are making or the total revenue you are getting is at its highest. In economics, you are looking at getting the highest revenue or fully utilizing your resources. You get it? So that happens in stage 2. It was rising and reaches its maximum. Now let's go to stage 3. In stage 3, you realize that let's start with marginal product of labor. Realize that the marginal product of labor is here, is below the line. It means that the extra workers that were coming into the company were a burden. You aren't producing anything at all. If it's below the line, it means it's negative. So it means you are wasting money on them. They are not even producing 1 unit. Now, if they are not producing, it means the average product of labor too is going to reduce. But because there were some that are working well, it's not going to get to 0. Because of those that were working well, you get it. So if you add all this and you even add a negative, because of those who are doing so well, it's like there's a 2-year-old who enters a class that's the average age is 90 years. It doesn't mean that the average age will change to 2 years because you've joined. Because there are older people there, the average will still be high. You get it. So it's still not yet at 0, but it's still reducing. Do you get it? Now, total product of labor starts reducing. Why does it reduce? Because the additional workers are now a burden. They are not doing anything there, and it causes overcrowding. So they are just there chatting and all that. You get it. So for stage 3 too, it is also uneconomic. Why is it uneconomic? It is uneconomic because total product of labor is reducing, and the additional workers you are bringing to here is below the line, so it's negative. So the workers to are a burden there, means they are causing overcrowding, they are not doing anything there. So now that's how you explain the 3 stages of production. So stage 1 is uneconomic, so you don't produce there. Why? Because total product of labor hasn't reached its highest point. You get it? Even though marginal product of labor has reached its highest point, but then there are still resources here to be utilized, so it is uneconomic. Stage 2 is the only economic one here. So sometimes they can ask you, why is stage 2 economic, or why should a firm produce in stage 2 of production? And you just conclude that the firm should produce in stage 2 because total product of labor reaches its highest point, even though the marginal product of labor keeps reducing, but it never reaches a negative. So it gets to 0, its limit, but it never reaches a negative. So it means they are not a burden. So the emphasis is on total product of labor. You get it? So the whole concept of the stages of production that produce where you are getting the highest total of products, you get the highest revenue or the highest output. All right, now that you've understood this, let's look at this table. It's also a very possible question. It also came last year as well. So it tells you how important this topic is. So yeah. All right, so now we're going to look at the table here. But before we look at this table, please, if you've not subscribed to this channel, try your best to subscribe now. You get it. Don't continue the video without subscribing. Subscribe now and share this video with your friends as well. Thank you very much. So now let's look at the table. So for the table, you have labor, outputs, average product of labor, marginal product of labor, and average fixed cost. Then we are asked to input the missing values. You get it. So you have outputs here. Some of the outputs have not been given. Then you have average product of labor. Some of them have not been given. You have marginal product of labor. Some of them have not been given. And average fixed costs. Some of them have not been given. So you just need to know the formulas. You get it, then you'll be good to go. So now let's write the formulas for each of them before we can start inputting the values, because you're going to calculate for each of them. And this question counts for a lot of marks. I think last year it came for over 20 marks. You get it. So it carries a lot of marks. So now let's start with the output. So they represented output by K. So K is equal to, so the formula for output is the average product of labor times labor. So this is the formula for output. Now let's look at the formula for, so this is output. Now let's go to average product of labor. The formula for average product of labor, you can even make average product of labor the subject by dividing both sides by labor. So you're going to get the quantity over labor. So this is the formula for average product of labor, the quantity over labor. Now let's go to marginal product of labor. And marginal, in the previous video, I told you that when we're looking at elasticity of demand, I said in economics, marginal means new minus old or change. Yeah, so anytime you hear marginal, just put to your mind this change. So the formula for marginal product of labor, let me write it here. So marginal product of labor is the change in outputs. Change in outputs over the change in labor. So yeah, you are down with the marginal product of labor. Then let's go to the average fixed costs. So the formula for the average fixed costs is the total fixed costs over the outputs. So that's our Q. You get it. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4 things that the eyes do. So you have outputs, average product of labor, marginal product of labor, and average fixed costs. You get it. So these are the formulas you need to know under theory of production. So now the first one is the output, which they represented by Q. So the output is the average product of labor times the labor. So at each point in time, so averagely, what's the product they are bringing, then times the labor. Then the average product of labor, I told you that one is the output over the labor. Averagely, what is each person bringing? You get it? That's the average product of labor. Then the marginal product of labor, which is the additional revenue the person is bringing. You get it? So that's the change. You check the new minus the old to see what the new person brought. You get it? So over the change in labor. Then the average fixed cost is the total fixed cost over quantity. All right, now let's start solving for them. So let's start with this part. So this part, you don't have the value for it. So that is K1. So if you are representing them, this is K1. You look at the labor. So this is K1. This is K3 because you're under output, you get a K3. Then this is 5. So K5. This is 6. K6. Then this is average product of labor. We're representing it by APL. So this is 2. So this would be APL2. This is 3. So this would be APL3. This is 4. This would be APL4 and all that. This is marginal product of labor. So this is 1. So MPL1. This is 3. So MPL3. So that's how I represent it. So now let's find for the output here, the first one. So K1. So the formula for the output, which we just wrote here, is average product of labor times labor. So we look for the average product of labor in the first one. You are talking about K1. So the first one, so the average product of labor is 10. Then times the labor, which is the one here, is 1. So we are getting 10. So now we can fill it. So now we have 10 here. You get it? That becomes our first output. Now let's continue. We can find for the average product of labor here. So average product of labor for this is 2. The labor is 2, so you add it to it. So for 2 is this is the formula for average product of labor, K over L. So what's the K for the second one? Is 24. Then over L, what is L? The second one, 2. So when we do it, we are getting 12. So you can put it here, 12. Now let's go to this one. So I hope you guys are not confused. Just use the formulas for each of them. You get it. So now let's go to this one, K 3. This is K, this is 3. So K 3. And that one is equal to, so K is average product of labor times labor. So K 3, what's the average product of labor for the third one? 14. Then times the labor for 3, which is 3. So when you punch it, you are getting 14 times 3 is 42, right? So we are getting 42. So here will be 42. Do you get it? Then now what else can we find? We can find for this one, which is APL. And here is the fourth one. So APL4. So APL4. Get it? And that one is equal to, we said the formula for the APL is the quantity over labor. So quantity over labor. So what's the quantity for the fourth one? 64. Then over the 4, which is the labor. So 4. And when we do this on the calculator, we should be getting 16. So our APL4 will be 16. Then now, when we get to this part, you realize that they didn't give us the output, they didn't give us the average product of labor. If they had given us the output and wanted to find for the average product of labor, we would have just done this over this. But because they didn't give us any of them, we can't find for it. So let's go to the marginal product of labor that we'll come and find for it. You get it? So now let's start with the marginal product of labor for the first one. So MPL 1. So this is labor 1. So MPL 1. Then that one is equal to, so where's the formula for marginal product of labor? Change in quantity over change in labor. So I told you change means new minus old. So the one that you are in, then minus the old one. You get it? So the change in quantity will be the quantity for that particular one, which is the output. So the output is, you can say quantity, you get it? So the output is 10, which is our kill. That's the new, then minus the old one. That should have been the previous one, but there's nothing there, so you can make it 0. That's the change in the output over the change in labor. The labor for that particular one is 1. Then minus the previous one. We don't have any previous one there, so you can make it 0. So we are going to be getting 10, right? So our MPL1 is going to be 10. Then now, let's go to our MPL3. You get it? So MPL3. So the MPL3 is going to be the change in quantity, which is the quantity, the new quantity. So what's the quantity for 3, which is the output? So 42 minus the old one, so the one before it, which is 24, over the change in labor. So we are 3, so 3 minus 2, get it? 3, then minus the one before is 2. Then we are getting, so 42 minus 24 over 3 minus 2 should give us 18. You get it? Then now we can put the 18 here. So that was for this one, right? Yes. So yes, this side is giving us 18. Now we can find for the marginal product of labor for the fourth one, which is here. So MPL4. So we are getting the change in quantity. So the quantity or the output for that particular one, which is 64. So the output for here 64, then minus the previous one, which is 42, over change in labor. So 4 minus 3. So when you punch this on the calculator, you should be getting 22. Then we can write it here. So 22. Now take note of something. We just said that MPL where's the formula for it? So MPL is the change in quantity. You get it? So our MPL, we've got it to be 6. It means that we can say that, let me clean this part since we are done with it. Now take a look at something. We just got our MPL, our marginal product of labor, for 5 to be 6. You get it? So what that means is that, and when we said our marginal product of labor is the change in quantity over the change in labor. So our marginal product of labor here is 6. So it means the 6 is the change in quantity, and the change in quantity is the new quantity or the new output minus the old output. Do you get it? So it means our 6 is equal to the change in output, which is the one we got here or the one we are going to get here, but they didn't give it to us here. You get it? So we can represent it by K05 because this is K, here is 5. Then minus this one, then minus 64. I hope no one is confused. And we said that the marginal product of labor is the change in output or the change in quantity, which is our K05. So for that particular year, this is 5. So also the output for that particular year minus the previous one. So this is what the K05 I've written here, then minus the previous one, which is 64, over the change in labor. So for that particular year is 5, right? So 5, then the previous one minus 4. I hope no one is confused. So when you simplify this, you are getting our 6 to be equal to K05 minus 64 over 1, but it's the same thing. So if you want to make K05 the subject, it means 6, then you bring the 64 here. So it comes here. So 6 plus 64. When 64 crosses the equal to sign, it becomes positive. So it's equal to K05. Then 6 plus 64 is 70. So 70 is equal to K05. What that means is that our K05 is 70. I hope you get it. Now that you've got our K05, we can find for our average product of labor for year 5. So our average product of labor, the formula is here, quantity over labor. So our average product of labor for year 5 is the quantity in year 5 or the output in year 5, which is 70. Then over the labor, which is 5. Then that should be equal to, so 70 over 5, when you punch on the calculator, you should be getting 14, right? Yes, 14. So now you're down with APL, where is it? APL 5, so that is giving us 14. Then we can find for this one, which is KL6. So our KL6 will be equal to, KL is average product of labor times labor. So average product of labor for year 6, that's 12.5. Then times the labor, which is 6. So when you punch this on the calculator, we should be getting 12.5 times 6, 75, right? So we are done with KL6, giving us 75. Then what else can we find for? You can find for APL7, which is the one here. So our APL7 is equal to quantity over labor. So the quantity for, or the output for year 7, which is 78. Then over the labor, which is 7. So 78 over 7 should be giving us 11.14, right? So here will be 11.14. Then we look for our last average product of labor. And average product of labor is quantity over labor. So the quantity for year 8 or the labor 8 over the labor. So our average product of labor for year 8 is equal to the 80 over this one, which is 8. Then that should be giving us 10. You get it? So now you are done with the average product of labor and the output. So this one give us 10, right? That's our APL 8. So that's what you just solved for. So now let's finish up the values for the marginal product of labor. So let me clean the board so that we continue. Oh, I mistakenly cleaned the formula. Okay, we wouldn't even find for average product of labor again. So yeah. Okay, so now we are about to find for marginal product of labor. I claim the formula for the average fixed cost, but I'll write it again when I come to find for. Or you let me write it. So the formula for the average fixed cost is total fixed costs over quantity. So that's what I wrote earlier, but when I was cleaning the board, I mistakenly wrote it. So now we are going to find for the rest of the values for the marginal product of labor before we even start finding for the values for the average fixed cost. So we have marginal product of labor for labor 6. So that is MPL 6. So that should be equal to MPL change in quantity. So the quantity or the output for year 6, which is here 75, then minus 70, then over 6. So 6 minus 5, 6 minus 5. And that should be giving us 75 minus 70 is 5, right? So here will be 5. Then we can find for the marginal product of labor for 7, which is labor 7. So MPL 7 is equal to this minus this, right? So 78 minus 75 over the labor, which is this minus this, 7 minus 6. And this should be giving us 3. 78 minus 75 is 3, so here should be 3. And we find for the last one, I just realized that in the question, they gave it to us already. So here was 2 in the question. But you can even do it yourself. 80 minus 78 will give us 2. You get it. So 2 over 8 minus 7, that's the same as 2. So now we are done with the marginal product of labor values. So now we can clean the board. Then the last thing we are going to look at is the average fixed cost values. All right. So now for the average fixed cost values, you have to know that average fixed cost is equal to total fixed cost over quantity. Total fixed cost over quantity. It means that if you cross multiply, total fixed cost will be equal to quantity times average fixed cost. You get it? Now put this in your head. Total fixed cost for each level of production is the same, but average fixed cost for each level of production it differs because you are spreading it around the resources. You get it? So now average fixed cost is total fixed cost over quantity, but they didn't give us the total fixed cost. So now it means if you want to find the average fixed cost, you have to find the total fixed cost here before we can solve for it. You get it? So now we've already said that when you cross multiply, getting total fixed cost to be average fixed cost times quantity, or quantity times average fixed cost. So it means that our total fixed cost will be, so if you are doing for year 1, the average fixed cost was 1,000 and the output was 10, or the quantity was 10. So you are getting 10 times the average fixed cost, which is 1,000. So when we punch this on the calculator, our total fixed cost is 10,000. And just put this in your mind, total fixed cost for each of the years is 10,000. So if you wanted to draw that table for total fixed cost, that would mean 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. You get it? All right. So now that we've got our total fixed cost to be 10,000, we can clean these workings. So now we can find for our average fixed cost for labor 2. So average fixed cost is total fixed cost over the output, which is Q, and total fixed cost is 10,000. So average fixed costs for labor 2, so 2, which is year 2, will be total fixed cost, which is 10,000. And what's the output for the Q for 2? That's 24. So when we punch this on the calculator, we should be getting 416.67, right? 416.67. So here is 416.67. Then we find for the average fixed cost for the third one, you get it. So that is also total fixed cost over quantity. I said the total fixed cost is the same throughout. So 10,000 over the output or the quantity. And for year 3 is 42. So 10,000 over 42. And this should be giving us 238.095. So here is 238.095. Then we go to the average fixed cost for the fourth one, which is here. So it's also 10,000, which is our total fixed cost over the 64. You get it? So when you point this on the calculator, you should be getting 156.25. So here you just realize that, let me write it here, 156.25 is just going to be 10,000 over this. So the next one will be 10,000 over 70, 10,000 over 75, 10,000 over 78, 10,000 over 80. You just input the values there. So let me just write them there so that in case you want to cross check your answer. So the next one should be 142.86. Then the next one will be 133.33. Then the next one will be 128.205. Then the last one will be 125. So it's just 10,000 over this, you get it? So like how we did it for the first one, 10,000 over 24, we got this. 10,000 over 42, we got this. So yes, you are done filling in the values for the table. So that's how you go about it. So I know it's very lengthy, but it can come as a full question. So if it comes as a full question, I mean, you just need to know the formulas and you are good to go. All right, so we are done with the values for all of them. And the B says we should sketch APL and MPL on a foolscap sheet. So we are going to do it on the board. Now, anytime they ask you to draw something like this, APL and MPL, you draw the y-axis first. Then you draw the x-axis. So yeah, and this part is always your labor. So don't forget, this part is always your labor. Then here is your products. You get it? So you draw the x-axis for the labor. Then here is going to be your product. You are drawing for labor because it's talking about average product of labor. So you have to draw the labor, and down is always the x-axis. Don't forget. Then draw one line for the product, which is the y-axis. You get it? So now that you've drawn it, then the next thing is that I'm going to choose a scale. So for labor, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can write it like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 8. So that's for the labor. Then for marginal product of labor, we can choose any scale we want. We have 10, 11.4, 12.5. So the lowest we have is 2. So it's both average product of labor and marginal product of labor. So you're going to draw all on the same line. This is the line you're going to use for. So you have 2, and the highest we have is 22. So you can do it 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and all that. You get it. So yes, let's make here 2. Then here will be 4. Here will be 6. Here will be 8. Here will be 10. Here will be 12. Here will be 14. Here will be 16. Here will be 18. Here will be 20. And here will be 22. The highest is 22, so you don't need to go beyond that. All right, so now let's start drawing. So we are going to draw for average product of labor and marginal product of labor. So let's start with average product of labor. So average product of labor for labor 1, you have 10. So labor 1, then trace it to 10 here. Get it? So it should be somewhere 1 and 10. So it should be somewhere here. So let's do a dot. So draw the points for all of them, the dots. Then write down where a line to trace the dots. Then for labor 2, still on average product of labor, our average product of labor for labor 2 is 12. So labor 2, then we trace it to 12. So 2 and 12, we are getting it somewhere here. Then labor 3, still on average product of labor, labor 3, average product of labor is 14. So 3 and 14. 14 is somewhere here. So yeah. Then for labor 4, average product of labor is 16. So 4 and 16. Then labor 5, average product of labor is 14. So labor 5. Then we look for 14 here. So 5 and 14 should be somewhere here. Then for labor 6, average product of labor is 12.5. So labor 6, average product of labor 12.5. So that's a little above 12. So it should be somewhere here, right? So for labor 7, So for labor 7, average product of labor is 11.14. So labor 7, average product of labor 11.14. So that should be somewhere here, right? Then for labor 8, average product of labor is 10. So labor 8, average product of labor 10. So that should be somewhere around here. So these are the points for the average product of labor. So we draw a line to connect all the points. Get it? So we write average product of labor. So we are done with the average product of labor line. Then we're going to do for marginal product of labor. So for marginal product of labor, for labor 1, we are getting 10 as well. So for that, I'm not going to use full stop again. Let's use asterisk so I don't get confused. So labor 1, marginal product of labor is 10. So that's our 10 here. Then labor 2, marginal product of labor is 14. So this labor 2, 14 is here. So marginal product of labor, you are getting it somewhere here. Then labor 3, marginal product of labor is 18. So labor 3, the marginal product of labor is 18. So you should be getting it somewhere here, right? Then labor 4, marginal product of labor is 22. So labor 4, marginal product of labor is 22, which is somewhere here. Then labor 5, marginal product of labor is 6. So that's below. So labor 5, marginal product of labor 6. So that's somewhere here. Then labor 6, marginal product of labor is 5. So labor 6, 5 should be a little below 6 here. So that should be somewhere here, right? Then labor 7, marginal product of labor should be 3. So labor 7, marginal product of labor is 3. So that should be somewhere here. Then labor 8, marginal product of labor is 2, which is our last one. So labor 8, marginal product of labor, which is here. So that one is 2. So somewhere here. So now we can also draw a line to connect all of them. So drawing a line to connect them. Then the next one is somewhere here. Get it? So this is our marginal product of labor. Get it? So this is how we draw for it. So yeah, so you are done drawing it. This are marginal product of labor, then this is the average product of labor. So always, if they tell you to draw it, this is how you do it. You draw the x-axis for the labor, you draw the y-axis for the product. Then both the average product of labor and marginal product of labor, you use the values here. Then you do it. So yeah, so this is how you go about it. So you can also use maybe the dots and the asterisk to differentiate it. You get it? But which of them you use at the end, you have to write here marginal product of labor, then you write average product of labor. You get it? So yeah, so you are done with today's topic, which is theory of production. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll see you in the next video.